Pie Guy did give me a laptop. We'll have to.
We are live. We're so excited to see you all.
Our intro. Julie's slacking today. She's got a lot going on this week. Okay, here's our intro, and we will be right back.
Grab your wine. It's time for Rosé All Day and Julie's a Mess, where we talk about current events and living in an intersex life. And now, here's Julie.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Rosé All Day. Julie's a Mess. We're having trouble streaming to YouTube. This may be an issue on your YouTube end. We'll keep trying and let you know. Oh, no. Okay. Well, I don't know what that's about. Saying it's having a hard time streaming to our YouTube channel. So we'll check that out. But there we are. You are live. Okay, we're back. We've had some weird technical issues the last couple of weeks. My camera was bouncing last week. Now we're having YouTube issues, but it looks like we're live and we're back. Welcome to our Mother's Day show. Hey, mothers. Yay. It's one day a year that we get to celebrate our moms. Here's my mom back here in all her crown and glory as Miss Columbus, 1966. I don't think Rebecca has a picture in her room right now of her mother.
Well, I actually have a picture that my great-grandfather took, great-great-grandfather took in Canterbury, where my mother is currently at.
Well, hello.
It's
Mother
the location
Dana.
of my mother.
Yes, the location. So I have poor lighting in this corner. I got to work on that in the next couple of weeks. Anyway, we are here to talk about optimistic in Orlando, what it's like to date as an intersex woman in a city. It's kind of what our show's been about the last, since September when we started. It's been a while. It's like we're coming up on our 1-year anniversary soon. We have a lot of things in play. Still trying to figure out how we're going to start streaming back to Spotify and Apple again. We have to find an app for that. I was telling Rebecca, because she will find this amusing, Pie Guy. Think about it, Rebecca. Pie Guy from Thanksgiving. Initially, when I started dating him, we thought he was poisoning me with pie because I got really sick and he brought me pie for Thanksgiving.
And it was the only thing she had eaten. So it was completely right of me to call poison control and just check what the symptoms are.
We totally were turning it into like murders only happens in this building from this one episode. Anyway, Pie Guy, as Manny said recently, Pie Guy, who has a name, out of all the men that I've dated since I've been in Orlando, he is certainly at the top of the body. He's definitely risen to the top. He is
top of the food chain.
And he's really sweet. And I went and had a wonderful time with him the other night. And his uncle had passed recently. And he was like, Julie, my uncle has a desktop computer. It's not super old. It's not super new. Do you need one? I'll give it to you. And he gave it to me. And I think it's really cute. And I got it over here and tried to set it up yesterday, and he didn't give me the power cord. So I had to order a power cord on Amazon. But I got kisses and some loving and a desktop computer. Tonight, because of my recent health issues, I am drinking Gatorade and carrot juice. It is not rosé. Is
it pleasant?
It's pleasant. You know, I like my fruit punch Gatorade, and there's a little bit of carrot juice in there too. And it's refreshingly pleasant. I can't even speak tonight. You would think it's making me drunk. It's not. I just have a lot going on. What are you drinking tonight, Rebecca?
I am drinking, I love this bottle. I don't get it enough. It's not that it's so expensive, but it was on sale. And I do love all of the Chloe wines. Just Josh and Chloe should get together. That's all I have to say.
Josh and Chloe should get together and have a vineyard baby.
Yes.
Wouldn't that be great? So Rebecca's wine tonight is by Chloe, and it is a rosé. And hashtag facts, having some kidney issues, so I'm trying not to drink as much right now. So I will be, it's probably not the best thing to have when you're trying to get a wine sponsor.
I can double up for us. Rebecca will get sloshed and sloppy, and Julie will be picking her up off the floor.
That'll be our next show. Sloshed and sloppy with Rebecca and Juleigh. Julie's on dialysis and Rebecca's on the floor. Okay, so it looks like we have some people joining us in the, it's Mirabelle. She says, Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to you as well, Mirabelle. And Mendoza Rainier says, Pornhub. Well, you do whatever you need to do on Mother's Day. You know, if you need to go to Pornhub, go to Pornhub. That was different. Okay, so let's get into it. We were hoping some others would join us tonight. We posted the link on our Facebook page so you could join in on the link, and you can, and we'd ask you questions about how old your kids are, if you're having a happy Mother's Day, and are you, Maribel, you should join. It's on my Facebook page. And then we'll ask you, if you have younger children, what are your hopes and ideals for dating for them as they get to be the age of dating? And if you have older children, what are some of the horror stories you've heard about online dating from them? And then we were going to ask mothers some fun questions like, do they know what ghosting means? Or have they heard of Netflix and chill? You know, things like that. So if you want to join in tonight, join us. I think we're going to just start this show off with Rebecca. Did your mom tell you any like dating stories from when she was growing up?
Oh, that's a good question. My mom, the first man she ever dated was my dad, which is adorable. And they met when she was 18. So she did not have any dating wisdom to impart except for choosing an excellent, excellent man to be in my life. So that's greatly appreciated.
So my mom, actually, I love how people meet. I love those stories, especially when they've gone on to like withstand time, right? My parents have been married for over 50 years. And they met when they were both teaching at a Southern college. And my dad invited my mom to go to like a band banquet. And they're both into music. And she said, okay. And she told her roommate, she was like, I'll get to hear band music and he's cute and I'll even get dinner. She was like, it's a free dinner. And they went late. And so she missed the buffet. So she didn't get dinner. And then like they got into a little argument. And then she goes, the next date they went on, she thought she was going to get a good meal out of it. And he brought sandwiches because he was on a budget. And then they dated for about 6 or 7 months. During the time, she was already engaged to a guy in New York.
I love the drama.
The drama of it all, right? And she was engaged to this really wealthy guy in New York and named Wayne. And she liked Wayne. And, you know, it was the 60s, early 70s. And I love this story, and I love hearing both sides. I love to hear my dad tell it. And I love to hear my mom tell it because there's just little things that are off, but then there are things that are absolutely 100% remembered together, you know, and my mom was supposed to go to New York for the summer to marry Wayne. And my dad left the apartment one night and said, if I leave tonight, I'm not coming back. Like, you go marry this guy, Wayne, and I'm not going to be waiting. And my mom said she closed the door and she waited like maybe 3-4 seconds. She said it felt like an eternity. And she opened the door and said, I'm not going. And my dad was still standing on the other side of the door.
Oh my God, that is so romantic.
So romantic. And they've been together ever since. And I love them. And, you know, my mom she has 4 kids and about 8 little ones at the moment, grandkids, and she's one of my best friends. Okay, let's see. We're getting some comments in. Kinset, I'll get your name right at some point.
We got it. We got it.
We said, I always call him Kenneth, and you call him Kinset because that's his name. He said, love you gals. We hope your mom had a great Mother's Day. Brooklyn Miss is laughing. Bella Hurst said, found ya. Hi, Bella. And Jennifer Dunham said, hello. Happy Mother's Day to all of you that have mothers. Are there any mothers currently in the chat room with us? I know Brooklyn Miss has children. Bella, do you? Jennifer, do you have children? We're going to keep talking. Okay, so let's see. Jennifer says yes. Okay, so Jennifer, we're going to ask you some questions. And you are going to respond in the chat, and we're going to show your responses, and maybe that'll lead to some other avenues in this podcast, since it's our Mother Day podcast. And our next podcast that we're recording after this tonight is going to be about Men Beast or Man Beast, and that'll be a tag along from last week's episode that we did. So Bella Hurst said, it's Maribel. I know I have different names everywhere. Okay, so Miss Brooklyn and Bella Hurst are the same person. Anyway, okay. Jennifer Dunham, you ready? How many children do you have?
Oh, and what are their genders? I'd like to know.
How many children do you have? And Rebecca wants to know what their genders are. Just 5.
Ooh, happy Mother's Day.
That's right. You've been busy, girl. Busy. Jennifer has 5 children, and she has 3 girls and 2 boys. Okay.
My next question is, do you like the girls better? No, I'm kidding. That's totally kidding.
Yes. No, girls. I mean, look, that's an argument that you hear all the time. Is it easier to raise girls or is it easier to raise boys? I can't imagine. And I actually think if I had them, I'd want one of both.
Yeah, I think so too. Me too. Well, should we ask Jennifer which ones are easier to raise? Are they easier to raise by gender, or is it completely personality driven?
Or are you a true woman of the world and you're going to say, I don't raise them. I let my husband raise them.
I can't wait for the answer. My guess is that the girls become harder as they get older, and the boys are harder when they're young. Personality driven. Aha.
Personality
All right,
driven.
there we go.
Now, are they younger or are they older? Are any of them at the dating age?
Oh, yes.
Have started dating?
Julie, would you stress having to put kids through the dating phase, or would you find it enjoyable?
Well, I don't find it enjoyable for myself. So I don't know. On some level, I feel like it would be some good entertainment. And then on other levels, you don't want your children to suffer. So you're like, like part of me feels like I'd put them in and just be like, make friends with your brothers and sisters. We're from the South. It's okay. 33, 31, 29, 25, and 23. Okay. out of that range, Jennifer, how many are currently single and dating? My 31 and 29-year-old are married. Okay. One is dating. Okay. So
single. Yeah.
we are going to ask you, for your single child, what are some of the things that you hear that are disheartening to you as a mother? What are some of the things that you hear about the dating culture that are disheartening to you as a mother? It's kind of fun.
I know.
I don't have kids.
I know. I really honor those that do, because I don't, and I probably won't.
I kind of feel like I should be celebrated on Mother's Day because I have a lot of babies put inside me. I just don't keep them. But
I'm confused by this.
by what?
You have a lot of babies put inside you. You just don't keep them.
Yes.
Oh, is that a sexual joke?
Yeah. Yes, it is. She puts up with bad behavior.
That is very common.
She puts up with bad behavior. And we've talked about that before, Rebecca. We've talked about bad behavior, and it's unfortunately in the dating world, it's two-sided. I know men that are also trying to find the one, and women can be passive aggressive and they have bad behavior too. But it does seem to be a little heavier on the male side. What do you ever give her advice, Jennifer, about that?
Yeah.
Do you ever give her advice about the bad behavior or what you feel she's doing or should do to circumvent that bad behavior?
It's so tough to watch too, because when you're like watching a friend, ourselves, but whenever we're watching people we love struggle with something, it's just really hard because there's only so much you can do to intervene.
Brooklyn Miss is sharing with you, Jennifer, that's her nightmare. That is her nightmare, to have to deal with that with her own daughter. And Jennifer has said, I try, but she's too easygoing and looks for the best in others. So Rebecca, what do you think about that statement? Jennifer tries to share with her and tell her and kind of redirect her, but her daughter is easygoing and looks for the best in others, going back to accepting bad behavior.
Yeah, it's tough. I think that's one of the number one reasons that we do that, when we do that, as in I have accepted bad behavior in the past. It's not something I actively try to practice now, but I think a lot of times you just don't want to believe that somebody who cares about you and is attracted to you and is pursuing you and is excited about you would treat you poorly. And you also do. Look, you clearly raised her well in that she has hope and faith in the world and a positive attitude. So that's a plus. And at the same time, it just takes that experience over a long time of realizing that people will do bad things no matter how much they care about you or into you they are or whatever. And it's tough. And it's one of those things that she's going to probably have to learn through the school of hard knocks a little bit, but I wouldn't stop trying to tell her because she needs to.
And if we can pass on one bit of advice from our podcast, Jennifer, you should take her and make her watch one of our past episodes about gutter swipes. I have to tell you, when Rebecca first taught me about gutter swiping and gutter swipes, that changed my dating game. It changed it for the better because it did. I know what to look for and what not to look for. I think bad behavior presents itself all the time. And you know, we can talk about that a little bit too. Here's a bad behavior lesson. We had a guest write in last week asking about a situation where she was dating a married man, and the married man wanted to see her kind of on the side. And I was sharing with Rebecca after the show ended that I had also met a married man that I had gone on a few dates with, and that he wanted me to continue on as his girlfriend after he got married. Now, we're talking about bad behavior across the board in this story. So for those listening at home, I had a really rough day the other day. I had a really bad day, and I needed to turn to somebody and talk to somebody. And the only person that I had in my life at that moment was this individual. And right as I went to go share with him what I needed to talk about, he said, I'm sorry, I can't do this. I can't move on. I'm feeling guilty. You know, my wife, my kids, blah, blah, blah. Well, I was really upset about it in the moment because I felt used. And so I went and posted information about him on the internet in a group called Are We Dating the Same Guy? And I was just like, heads up, ladies, he's out there and he's married and he's cheating and he's looking for a side piece. And I even made a TikTok about it. And I felt bad about doing it. But the bad behavior I saw really came when all of the women on the internet picked it up, picked it apart, and were doing things on their own, kind of like, we got you, girl. We're going to take care of him. We're going to tell his wife. We're going to let his wife know what a scab he is. And then I found out today that this woman sent flowers to the wife. This woman in the group that I don't know sent flowers to the wife with images of all of his dating profiles in the bouquet and said, Happy Mother's Day. Your husband's cheating on you. And I was mortified when I told Rebecca about the story earlier. And I said, I feel so bad because I feel like I've ruined that guy's life. And she said, it's not on you. You didn't do that. You shared to share. And then everybody else in that hen house kind of went after him collectively. And you shouldn't feel bad about that. But when we talk about bad behavior, that's the bad behavior, right? That kind of bad behavior mixed with the fact that he was cheating on his wife, which was his bad behavior. It's hard out there dating. It is hard out there dating. It's living with your heart on your sleeve. It's hard, I'm sure, watching your children go through it. I can't imagine.
And it's so hard because it's a question of, I think out in the world right now, there's a massive loss of respect. I see you, Jennifer, Brooklyn Miss, it's awful. Yeah, that would be so tough. But there's a massive, there's this massive loss of respect where it feels like it's the norm to treat each other poorly or throw people under the bus or put up with disrespect or dish it out in full. And then you're ultimately not you, Julie, but like the people that kind of caught on to this are taking it out on another woman. And it's like, yeah, and Brooklyn Miss says that's wild. Women are sick of this shit. And it's true. And at the same time, like, it's really challenging. How do we respond to things and how do we respect ourselves and others in a world that sort of feels like an apocalypse?
Right. And then she also went on to say, wasting your time, that's what you can never get back.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's true too. And I'd shared with Rebecca, I think one of the other things that had kind of made me mad is people that follow my story know that I'm not trans. I don't identify as trans. I am an intersex woman. But when I made that post in one of those groups, somebody said, aren't you trans? You should feel horrible that he's with you in the first place. And aren't you also doing damage to the wife? And I'm like, wait a second. How did I become the victim? I'm the victim. How did I also then become the aggressor along with him towards the wife? Like, then it was like all these straight women were like, shame on you for being trans, Shame on you for luring him out to be his side piece. Shame on you. Then it became like all the hate was coming towards me. And I was like, wait a second. He's the one that's cheating. He's the one that's cheating on you. Like, it shouldn't be about who he's cheating with. And you shouldn't be coming after the girl he's cheating with when I didn't even know he was married the first couple of times we went out. But then it became like a bad on you, trans woman, trying to corrupt America, and bad on him. And I thought, what? Am I missing something?
You know, like when one's therapist says, hey, why don't you start trying to take, when you're angry and you're about to act out and talk back to the person you're talking to or whatever, why don't you take a pause and go outside and count to 10 and do these things and then come back and you'll be less reactive. My personal trick is I record a voice message to the person with what I really want to say, and then I delete it. And about 10 messages later, it comes out respectful and empowered. But I think we all need to collectively take that little count to 10 seconds thing, because what one is missing in some of these groups is like, look, wasn't the point of this group to protect each other? Why are we scratching people's eyes out? Why are we attacking you? Why are we, let's hold this man accountable, but not as gladiator, as a support group.
Kenzeth, I don't want you to feel alone in this conversation or backwards in this conversation. So as a young man that dates, have you come across any kind of poor choices or bad choices in individuals that you're trying to date? This carrot juice is good, but I feel like I've been drinking too much of it today.
Does it have an effect?
It has effect on your kidneys. I don't know. They say you should drink more water, and I'm not a water girl. I don't like water. It's hard for me to drink water.
My grandmother doesn't like it either. Can you put like little powder in it, like electrolyte powder?
It tastes gross. Then it tastes like you're drinking like castor oil to me.
No, you just gotta pick the right one. I'll send you some links. We'll talk about it offline. No, you can do like tea too, or iced tea.
They say you shouldn't do iced tea because tea is a diuretic.
Oh, you're gonna have to school me on this one. Kenzeth, are you there? We want to hear from you too.
Yeah, Kenzeth. Okay, so the last comment was Brooklyn Miss said, that's some bullshit. And Kenzeth, here he goes. You just got to prod the men a little bit. Prod them.
I've always been, okay. To be honest, I've never dated. I've always been a little hesitant to get out there because I don't want to get caught up in hookup culture yet. I so respect that. Julie is clapping for those of us who are listening and not watching. That is absolutely awesome. That is hands down the best comment I have yet to see. I just so highly respect that.
And for the mothers that are in here that are not hip to some of the slang, Jennifer, do you know what hookup culture means? And Maribel, I know that you know what it means. Who's your oldest, Maribel? Your son? No, you have twins. Maribel has twins. So I feel bad for Maribel, Bella Hurst, Miss Brooklyn, because she's going to be running right into the dating game at the same time for her son and daughter. And she's going to have to like...
Wait, okay, pause for a second. Maribel, we will let you reveal here. Are you, if you want to, are you single or dating yourself? And then we've got some laughs from her. Yes. And so are you going to ultimately be in a situation dating at the same time as your kids? Okay.
Oh, yeah. She has a daughter that's 13, a son that's 12, and her twins are 3.
Happy Mother's Day. That is a handful. And has your daughter started going out, or your son started getting crushes or going out with people yet, or anything like that? Are you letting them?
I mean, Brooklyn Miss Julie still has a crush on your kid's uncle, even though he's a jerk of different proportions.
I'm desperately hoping you guys are close friends.
We're close friends. I've known Miss Brooklyn. Here's some trivia for all of you. I used to work with Maribel when I worked for the circus, and she was the head of costuming, and I worked in purchasing, and we spent a lot of time together. We'd try on costumes, and she would make these little, I'm still waiting for my little bear. She made me, I had a pair of twill pants that she turned into twill shorts for me because it was hot. And she used to make these really cute bears. And I wanted a bear made out of this twill material that had Tom of Finland all over it because I just thought it was so cute. But we've known each other a while. And she met her first husband at the circus. And her first husband's, the husband's brother also worked at the circus and was literally sex on a stick, but total jerk. She knows who I'm talking about. So we know. Okay, let's see. Single and celibate right now. I had my time in hookup culture. So she had
some class on this show.
Let's
say.
Kinzeth says, I see so many people my age, 24 and younger, hooking up. And sometimes I feel like I'm missing out. But I know that I need to just ride my wave until I'm ready. And he's cute. If y'all haven't seen Kinzeth, he's a cutie.
Kinzeth, I think that is so
smart,
wise, and self-aware. And as a 35-year-old, which is not nearly as impressive as someone in their 40s, wisdom-wise, it does over time. Oh, okay. Thank God for you, Maribel. Your daughter isn't interested in dating as of yet. Woo! You must sleep well at night. But you do, as you get older, you run into more people and more options of people that are appropriate for you, that are more mature and that aren't just looking for hookup culture, or you have a self-confidence too that I didn't have when I was in my earlier 20s, or younger than that, that you kind of are a little bit more capable of telling people, go away, fuck off. This is kind of where I stand. And when you have become comfortable being celibate or being single or choosing not to because it is not worth it, you can navigate just fine when you are ready and interested. And my thing is, like, I kind of want to be available to people that are in the world that are right for me, that come into my life. But diving into the dating scene, which Julie does so heroically, is hard for me because it does come with a lot of collateral damage.
A lot of collateral damage, which is why we're going to show this graphic real fast at 7:34. If you're listening to us on the air and you're missing out on some of these cute graphics and things that we show, watch us on our YouTube channel. We will flash that information up in a second. But this is probably my favorite graphic that I've made in the last 6 months. And I know Rebecca loves it.
Oh.
Julie's new plan. If a female octopus is hungry and doesn't want to mate, but the male tries to, I'm going to move Maribel's comment real fast so we can see the bottom. She'll let him insert his mating arm and begin the process before inching closer to him. Then she'll strangle him, kill him, and feast on his corpse in her den for a few days. Come to justjuleigh.com and see our podcast. This is appropriate for Mother's Day because I know a lot of mothers that would do the same to protect their children from bad dating.
Yes.
Mary Bell says, for sure, sex is an exchange of energy. You don't need to hand the best of yourself out on a platter.
Wow. Yes.
She also says, screenshot taken. Take it again, Mary Bell. There it is. Take it. Julie's new plan. Take it again. Kenseth, if you stick your mating arm near me, I won't kill you because I think you're bright.
Well, Kenseth isn't going to stick his mating arm where it's not wanted. That's what's great about Kenseth.
I know. You know, he was going to come visit. Kenseth, you should come in August to Savannah because Rebecca's doing another play, and I will go this time. I think it's August 10th. So Rebecca will be in a show called 12 Angry Jurors. I think that's what it's called. But we should all go and see that show. Okay. Also, while I'm thinking about it right now, I don't have a picture of Nate, I don't think, on my podcast, but I do have a picture of my best friend, Manny. There's Manny and Juleigh. Manny and Juleigh spend a lot of time together. My heart is going out to Manny and Nate, my friend, his husband, and my roommate, Nate. Nate's mother is in the end stages of stage 4 brain cancer. And it's hard to go through Mother's Day, and it's hard to go through any holiday when you know it could be the last holiday with that person. And so our thoughts here at justjuleigh.com. Nate and Manny have been on this show a lot before. They've shared a lot with us before. And our thoughts and prayers go out to them as they are in Miami tonight with Mama Karen. And she is getting ready to have some test run to see if she can become a part of a study at a university in Miami. So they're spending tonight and tomorrow with Karen in Miami, and our thoughts are going out to that very special mother and relationship tonight. Not to weigh us down, let's take a look at Juleigh's preferred men.
Oh, yes.
Julie's celebrity crushes. However, she needs to add a new one in there because there's, Josh Lucas, who is from Sweet Home, Alabama, and is currently on, what's the show on Apple TV? Palm Royale with Kristen Wiig. And Josh Lucas reminds Juleigh of Bishop. So, he's in there now too. But these are all Juleigh's celebrity crushes. And she has said recently that she thinks Austin is a jerk. She thinks Josh Duhamel, probably a jerk. Ben Affleck, probably a jerk. So Juleigh likes jerks.
Right. Well, I'm looking at that and I'm like, okay, if I saw those people on Tinder and they weren't celebrities, if they were on the Hive, would I choose a single one of these faces for you to actually go out with?
Would you?
Match.
Would you?
Okay, let's go left to right. Craig,
Okay.
Absolutely not. Josh, no. I don't think we'd get past too many conversations without him revealing himself. Austin, I would allow you to go out because you would push me on it and you'd really want to go out with him. And I would say, okay, by date 3, he's probably going to be a little, but he'll be subtle. Jamie is either like kind of nutso and it'll come out real quick, but you could be into it if you have a special arrangement. That could be fun. It's not your future husband. Ben Affleck, okay, this picture is very unfortunate of him. It could be revealing. I actually think he is the one that I would be willing to risk things on for you. I don't know much about Ben Affleck or have forgotten his real personality, but I would risk a date for you with him. And then is it Josh Mooney? Josh Mooney?
Josh Mooney, I think. Yeah.
Josh Mooney. He, I would say, okay, if you want some nice, not gas station chocolate, that guy's gonna, he might be really respectful to you, but like there will be a lot of others in the mix that you get. That's my take on all of this, men.
That's fair because they're all kind of jerky. That's fair. Now, in our next episode about Man Beast, this guy is Gutter Swipe of the Week. So you'll want to tune in for that episode when we run it. Nate, 36, I think in Tampa. But he says some really horrible things in his text to other people.
Is that to you?
No, it's not.
Oh, I'm like, what?
It was to another woman.
Okay.
But
yeah, we're not ruining Mother's Day with this.
He's going to be our gutter swipe. Okay, let's go back to comments. See what we got going on. Brooklyn Miss just said screenshot taken. So Jennifer, if you're still in the group, moving forward, what new advice would you give to your daughter? Actually, I think it'd be really interesting if your daughter continues to have issues, to put her in a conversation with your married children and have them help facilitate a conversation about where she could go or what she might look for. I don't know if Rebecca agrees with that, but.
Well, I mean, does she think that that's a good idea? Because also there's the struggle that a mother has with, and I'm sure we do not need to open this up on the conversation, given that you are talking about your children. We know who you are. But there's also the struggle that parents have with who did their kids choose, and how is that relationship playing out, no matter how fond they are of those individuals. And like what, you're not, the worry is never over, I'm sure, including when your child's in a happy relationship.
Also, we're going to start the game here. Not really a game. I'm going to ask Rebecca in the comments section, what's the best advice your mother has given you? It does not have to be dating related, but what's some of the best advice your mother has given you in your lifetime?
So I will give dating advice that I got, which was more like relationship advice, which was that she said, and I don't think she'd be upset about me sharing this, that early on in her relationship with my father, she was very focused on like, is he paying attention completely to what I'm saying? And is he, she was less self-sufficient, I think would be the right way to say it, in terms of like, I'm okay on my own. I've got my girlfriends. She's got tons of friends. She's like the most social butterfly I've ever met. And like, it's okay if he doesn't react to what I'm saying the way I want him to, because he's also amazing in all these other ways. And I love him and I don't need him entirely for that. So that was really good relationship advice for me, to just be like, you know what, kind of set some expectations and also meet your needs in a well-rounded way and be emotionally, grounded in yourself. She said, it's not that it's a bad thing or not. It just made her so much happier when she stopped putting that pressure on.
Well, my mother gave me some great advice across the board. Some of the ones that stick, which I always laugh about, is she told me to try everything once, and if you don't like it, you don't have to try it again. Although she was talking about broccoli, I just go ahead and apply it to everything in my life. And then she also told me a cheetah never changes its spots. And she meant that in friendships and in dating. She always says, you have to remember, a cheetah won't ever change its spots. And she's not forgiving when it comes to men that have done me wrong. And she kind of instills that in me as well, to be like, they did you wrong the first time. It's not gonna, they're not necessarily going to change their spots. There's always going to be a level of that. And you're going to have to learn to live with it or not live with it, but you can't expect them to change, and they're certainly not going to change overnight. She always gives me advice on Bishop, and she's like, I understand that you love who you love, but a cheetah's never going to change its spots. And so that's hard sometimes, because I'm that girl that idealistically hopes that somebody would change and that they would see the good that somebody else brings to a situation, and that would make them want to change. And you can't change people. And you can hold a spot for them, but not if that spot's going to be a cancer that grows and covers up all the other spots because that person doesn't change. And so, some of the best advice she ever gave me was a cheetah never changes its spots. And it's hard
too, because when you're a person who has grown, which is a little bit different than fundamentally changing, when you've grown and you've done the work, it's easy to want to think, oh, that person can change and do the work too. They can transform, but you don't have any control over when and how and if they're going to transform in the way you want them to. Even if it's physically possible, you have absolutely no power over that situation. And when you think you do, that's really dangerous, because you're just fooling yourself. So it's solid advice, even if you're someone who's like, well, people do change, but okay, but that is entirely fundamentally on them. And if you think that you've changed them, you're in really hot water, because you definitely didn't.
Jennifer Dunham has said that she would tell her daughter, I'll tell her she needs to know her worth all the time. That's huge. I think even as individuals, we forget our worth sometimes. It's so easy to do because you let everything else infiltrate and you down. And I think in business we do it. I think in solitude we do it. I think in social situations we do it. I think it's important to know your worth, and I think it's important to make sure that you let other people know your worth. So I think that's great advice, Jennifer. Anybody else, any advice that your mother gave to you growing up that you live by still today? Anybody that's in our chat that has advice that was given to them by their mother?
Or that they are giving, if that's not coming to mind, that you are giving or would give to your child. And Kenseth, you can go on either direction on that yourself.
Anybody? I was checking something. Something was flashing on my computer and I had to cross over and check
I will throw on one thought in addition to the knowing your worth, which is that when one exercises one's worth. So when you tell someone no, step off, or you stick up for yourself, or you cut people out, you strengthen the muscle that knows its worth. And you don't have as hard of a time the next time. And you come in stronger and you enter the room from a higher place. That's what I found. That's what friends have said to me. Julie, I think you feel the same way. So anyway, I think that's a really powerful experience.
What were you saying? Sorry.
Whenever that knowing your worth and exercising your worth is like a muscle. And the more that you do it, the easier it gets. And the more powerful you start. Yeah.
I have some Mother Day quotes. I always think what other people tend to say across the internet is great. Brooklyn Miss says that her mother said, ego is oftentimes mental illness's mask.
Wow. Wow. I'm just going to sit with that for a second.
Say it again louder. Ego is oftentimes mental illness's mask. A mother is your first friend, your best friend, and your forever friend. Mama was my greatest teacher, a teacher of compassion, love, and fearlessness. Somebody asked me recently in an interview, they made the collective acknowledgement that I teach when I teach about intersex and when I try and teach on TikTok and through our podcast, that I always seem to do it with a superb grace and dignity. Mm-hmm. And somebody said, where did you learn that from? And immediately I said, my mom. Mm-hmm. By watching my mom go through things that she does, everything that she does is with a grace and subtle dignity. And that's where I learned it. And I'm glad it works for her and it works for me. And so I love that quote about Mama was my greatest teacher, a teacher of compassion, love, and fearlessness. Here's one more. It says, I realize that when you look at your mother, looking at the purest love you will ever know. That when you look, you're looking at the purest love you will ever know. Jennifer Dunham has said, my mom said it's okay to love hard, just don't be foolish about it.
Oh, that is such good advice. That's such a wise mother's way of saying something, because she's acknowledging what you're going to do anyway. And she's going to say, here's a caveat to make it easier for you. Just keep this in mind. Just be smart about it. I'm not going to stop you from that which you are going to do. I'm not even going to say it's bad. It might be good. But here's what you should keep in mind. Be a smart, powerful woman about it.
And remember your worth.
And remember your worth.
Kenzeth, as my, gosh, I say your name, and if I haven't glued my teeth in, they're like, Kenzeth has said, not so much from my mom, but my grandmother, who, let me tell you, think about it this way. Your mom came from your grandmother. So it is still within that. It's still within that mother lineage. Mm-hmm. So even when you're born, you may be born quiet. You may not say a lot, but that lineage. So even before I read the rest of your quote, it has come from that mother legacy, that mother lineage. So if your mother, it's interesting that you said not so much from my mom, but my grandmother, because it's still that trajectory, right? Mm-hmm. It says not so much from my mom, but my grandmother still to this day says, spit in one hand and dream in the other, then see which one fills up faster.
That is such grandmotherly wisdom. I love it. Oh, I love that. That's great.
Spit in one hand and dream in the other. That may be a title for a future show for us.
It really is. I mean, I think one of the main problems that we struggle with these days is fantasy in dating. It's something we have to stay on top of all the time. It's where a lot of hurt feelings and upsets come from. So
he just said, not the advice you want to hear.
But it's real. It is spoken by a woman who lived.
Yeah. And it may not be what you want to hear, but you have to break it down and break it down from who it's coming from, right? Mm-hmm. As Rebecca just said, she's lived a long life. She's seen a lot in her life. And that's probably a very loving way of saying, son, you can spit in one hand and dream with the other and see which one fills up faster. And I think that that's great advice, because there are plenty of us, myself included, that is definitely a daydreamer, right? Mm-hmm. I'd rather sit and dream about everything that could be And dreams are renewable. I learned that a long time ago. Dreams are 100% renewable. But you still have to put the work in to make the dream come to a fruition.
Yeah.
And so in that situation, if you're just dreaming in one hand and spitting in the other, you're putting the work into the one you're spitting in.
Mm-hmm.
So that might have been your grandmother's way of saying, it's okay to have a pocket full of dreams or dreams. It's okay to have those, but you're going to have to into this hand to make sure that the work's being done to make them come true.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about all how you look at. The delivery may not be how you wanted her to say it, but the message is in there. The message is there.
Yeah, it really is. Oh, because a dream, we have to recognize dreams and fantasies for what they are, which is a vision that helps us move towards a future that we want, but it's not the future that we definitely have, and it's certainly not the present. Okay, I want to address, because we're talking about grandmothers and mothers and whatever, and because I'm somebody who doesn't actually plan on having my own children. I do one day currently hope to adopt an older child when I'm in a position to give them a better life than I could now. But I want to talk about, like, what does it mean to be a mother in the world? What does it mean to be a mother to other people, or mothers, adoptive mothers, or mother roles that have come in your life? You know, like, I think it's really important to remember that. And if we want to make it gendered, fine, let's do it. Let's say people who are women, there is a way for one to still feel that there is a motherliness alive. It doesn't have to be, but you can still have that presence in you, the ability to make life, to make and foster life, whether or not you have kids, and whether or not, you know, however you are, that energy can exist in any person who feels it and can be expressed in many different ways. So I want to ask, is there anyone that you have been a mother to or have been mothered by that is not your biological mother or child?
And while you think about that, listen to this quote.
Okay.
Mother is a verb.
Mm-hmm.
It is something you do. You mother somebody. It's not just who you are.
Mm.
It goes hand in hand of what she's asking.
Yeah. Julie, do you want to go first? Who's someone that's a mother in your life?
I have a lot of motherfuckers in my life. But that was just
Great too. We love. Oh, do you have fathers or do you have daddies, Julie?
daddies and a father. Let's see. I would say, I mean, there are people in my life that fill that role. In my lifetime, there have been people that, you know, my mom and dad have not always been available because everybody goes through other things. And I think we tend to latch onto the energies that present that we feel like we can get that mothering or fathering from. Sometimes it's friends. Sometimes it's roommates. Sometimes it's colleagues. I've had a lot of them in my life, but I wouldn't be half the person I am today, and I wouldn't be where I am today if it weren't for those that stopped and took a chance on me and walked into my life and in some way mothered or fathered. So there are too many to thank at this point in time, but there are plenty that have 100% shown me that. Brooklyn's laughing at the daddy comment. And Jim said, I had mothered and I have had motherly figures. Go ahead.
Yeah, the plural is key because actually I was thinking about it. I'm like, there is no one person in my life but many faces came to mind. A lot of them were at work, surprisingly. And then some of them are just friends who have more life experience, and who, I don't know, I think the feeling is like they're holding you as you're experiencing something that they know more than you do, but they're allowing you and helping fostering you to flourish in it. That's a mothering moment to me. When they're like, there's this supportive, encouraging, sometimes a little bit of wisdom. Have you thought about it this way? But just holding you as you're going through something that they already know. And I really, I have a lot of people like that in my life. And I've been really blessed recently to have some just younger women in my life who kind of are like, treat me like their big sister or something. It's a really meaningful experience. And I think that everyone should be a parent in the world, but you don't have to have your own kids.
Agreed. Brooklyn had said, I adore that. And I think she tried to throw some emojis up, but it just said what the emojis were. They often call in, as we're adults, they will call them mentors, right? You have mentors, or you have people in your life that provide advice that, they also sometimes call it therapy, your therapist. But I know, thinking about this show and thinking about things we've already talked about, not everybody has a mother anymore, and not everybody has a mothering experience, and not everybody has. So it's important to have those other entities that step in, that provide that mothering to you, or that those ideals to you, right? I think that's also why movies and media and entertainment and all those things, that I think movies about mothers affect everybody.
Yeah.
Occasionally you'll meet somebody that's like, I'm not going to watch that movie because I don't have a mother and my mother treated me like crap, right? And you're like, nah. But I've always liked in all of the incantations of Cinderella, right? And this tells you more about the character of Cinderella, right? But in all those incantations, she grows up without a mother, and she has a nasty stepmother. And at the end of the movie, I've yet to see the end of any incantation of Cinderella where Cinderella turns around and says, "You're a bitch, and I don't want to have anything to do with you." Every film I've ever seen, Cinderella turns around with grace and dignity and says, "I understand you, and I understand your positioning." And in some films, she may say, "While I don't understand why you would have such grief and anger towards me, I forgive you." And in other movies, she'll turn around and she'll say, "I'm not like you, and I love you, and you are still my stepmother." But she's never once in any of these films said, "Boo on you, I'm kicking you out of the house, you're a horrible, horrible, hateful person." She's never said that. She always turns around and says, with grace, "Thank you for loving me," or "Thank you for teaching me," or "Thank you for my life." Whether that's her true feeling or not, I love films like that because you're a lesson from everybody that you meet in your life. You're going to learn a lesson. It could be a good lesson or a bad lesson, and it's how you deal with it that makes you a stronger, wholer person. But I find joy in the fact that in all those films, Cinderella has never turned around and said, "I hate you. You made my life horrible." Instead, she turns around and says, "Thank you, because you've taught me this," or "Thank you, because I'll never be like that in the future," or "Thank you,"
Well, it's interesting because when you think about it, then that story does have two mothers that actually mother. One of them is Cinderella. That's a very motherly thing to do. And the other is the fairy godmother. And we all need our fairy godmothers, especially if you've struggled with your assigned mother not really being the mother figure that you needed.
Yeah.
But Yeah, I think that's really beautiful because what you're describing is actually what a motherly act is to a child. And I think we often do that too as we get through older age. We end up kind of reversing the models. A lot of times you end up caring for your mom in the final days, and you provide that motherly presence back.
Agreed. Well, guys, thank you for joining us for our Mother's Day episode tonight. We loved everybody that was a part of it and everybody that chimed in. We'd like to say thank you to Brooklyn Miss, Bella Hurst, Jennifer Dunham, Kenseth, and everybody else that might be watching or listening to us tonight. We hope that if you don't have a mother, that you remember your mother kindly and fondly. And if you are a mother, congratulations on having a gift that will provide for you for the rest of your life and beyond. And if you're, I don't know what else to say, happy Mother's Day.
And if you're a man and you have a mother, we love you too.
Yes. And we are going to go ahead and head out tonight. It looks like Mirabelle made one more comment. Or Kenseth said, Brooklyn Miss said, what a beautiful episode. Thank you so much. Kenseth said, before you go, do you have dates for the next play in August? I don't. Dates. I thought you meant, are we taking dates? No, I'm not taking a date.
We know it's on Julie's mind.
I think the play in August is on the 10th.
Hold on. 12 Angry Jurors. It's an adaptation of 12 Angry Men. It is on Saturday, August 10th in Savannah.
Yes, Saturday, August 10th in Savannah. And if you want to come down and join us, I will be there shouting on fellow actors that I've been in stuff before with, and of course, Rebecca and Bonnie, the director. And we can all go. What'd you say?
Who brought us together?
Yeah, she did. She was like our mother.
Bonnie is a mother figure. Yeah.
What? So, happy Mother's Day. And I'm actually going to look this up real fast and read it because I'm thinking about my mother and I'm thinking about all these things, right? And I'm going to let a little bit, and then I'm going to come in and read this last quote, and then we are going to bounce on out of here and finish with this show. But let me read this. My mother gave us nicknames when we were being born. She would name the babies in her tummy. Hold on. And this always makes me laugh. But there are all these quotes that I could read. But I used to kick in the womb, and my parents thought I was stretching, right? So they said that whenever I would stretch, my foot would flutter. They thought it was my foot. And they'd taken my older brother to see Bambi. And so my mom and dad came up with the nickname Thumper for me. And my nickname has always been Thumper because of the way Thumper moves his foot. And we found out when I had to transition and when I was 43 and I had to go to the National Institute of Health, and we found out about all this stuff that my body was going through. And Rebecca knows we've been talking recently about some of my health issues moving forward. We found out that I had night seizures and that I have epilepsy and I'd been seizuring ever since I was in the womb. So where my mom and dad thought that I was kicking like Thumper, it was actually me seizuring. And if doctors had have known that then, I would have been aborted. But so I've grown up with this nickname my whole life, and my mom has always called me Thumper, and I thought it was funny that she's right there tonight. I'm in gray, which is Thumper's color, and we were talking about Disney movies, and there's a great scene in the movie where Thumper's mother is talking to him, and she says, Thumper, what's your daddy say? And Thumper says, eating greens is a special treat. It makes long ears and great big feet, but it sure is awful to eat. I made that last part up myself. And then you hear Thumper's mom go, Thumper. And then he says, if you can't say something nice, don't say nothing at all.
That is some great advice.
That reminds me so much of my mother and my life. And I just want to say happy Mother's Day to everybody. Have a wonderful Father's Day in June. And we will see you next week on Rose All Day, Optimistic in Orlando. Bye-bye and happy Mother's Day.
For more content, follow justjuleigh.com. That's just Juleigh, JULEIGH.com. Thank you to our guests, and thank you for joining us this evening. Join us next week as Juleigh tries a different rosé.